The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his apostles, "No disciple is above his teacher, no slave above his master. It is enough for the disciple that he become like his teacher, for the slave that he become like his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more those of his household? Therefore, do not be afraid of them. Nothing is concealed that will not be revealed, nor secret that will not be known. What I say to you in the darkness, speak in the light. What you hear whispered, proclaim on the housetops. And do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in Gehenna. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a small coin? Yet not one of them falls to the ground without your Father's knowledge. Even all the hairs of your head are counted. So do not be afraid. You are worth more than 2 sparrows, many sparrows. Everyone who acknowledges me before others, I will acknowledge before my Father. But whoever denies me before others, I will deny before my heavenly Father." The Gospel of the Lord. Well, I'm impressed everybody made it through the rain from here this morning. Well done. Today's readings, the first reading, we're at the end of the story of Joseph. This Monday we'll start with after many years after Joseph, and nobody remembers Joseph. And in today's reading, Jacob, Joseph's father, dies. And Jacob was also called Israel, had the 12 sons who became the 12 tribes of Israel. And so when he dies, he's buried actually like 20 miles south of Jerusalem. So they take him from Egypt back to where Abraham and Isaac are buried. And then Joseph is still the vice regent in Egypt. He's like the Pharaoh's #1 guy still, lots of power. And then his 11 brothers are full of fear. They're scared and they're terrorized, if you will. They think that Joseph is now going to seek revenge on them now that Dad is dead for the evil that they did to Joseph, throwing him in the pit, selling him as a slave into Egypt. And when Joseph hears that their fear and what they're afraid of, he weeps. He cries because it's very far from his mind. Joseph understood that good came out of what happened to him, because Joseph was full of goodness and mercy. And there's a lot of lessons that we can take from this story of Joseph. And one is, it helps us understand how we should deal with evil when it comes into our lives. How should we respond? And we should respond like Joseph. Just trust in God and continually worship and pray in God, and know that God can make good come out of evil. And it's God gives us free will. And a result of free will is we can choose evil. And so you could say God permits evil to occur. But he permits it to occur because he can turn evil into good. Right? So very simply put, because of all his goodness and all his mercy, he can make good come out of evil. And understanding that that's the way God is, gives you an understanding of God, his intentions, and gives you insight into God's heart all the goodness he has and all the mercy he has for us. And another lesson is that God seeks people who have hearts like his, who imitate his heart, who follow his way, this full of goodness and mercy. And when evil befalls them, God can work through them to make good come out of it. Kind of a, it's like a little window into God's heart and how he acts. And another neat thing about the readings is a foreshadowing of Jesus. Joseph suffered a lot. Okay? He was a slave for a while. He was in prison for a time in Egypt, but eventually he became Pharaoh's #1 guy. But he suffered a lot. And because of Joseph's suffering, he saved the Israelites from starvation. He saved many people from starvation, not only the Egyptians, but people in the known world around the Mediterranean. He saved them from starvation because of his storing up grain in the full years. And so Jesus, because of his suffering, the crucifixion, the passion, stuff like that, what good came out of his suffering is our salvation. And our salvation, as well as the end of death. Jesus defeated death, because when we die our physical lives, we rise to new life in the Spirit. And so it's really neat how you see that the heart of God and how he works in people who have similar hearts. And so today, maybe we should ask God for the grace to be like Jesus and Joseph. People who accept the evil that comes into their lives and are able to pray to God and trust in God and trust that God will turn that evil into good. Something good will happen out of it. And that happens through forgiveness, just as Joseph forgave his brothers and Jesus forgave those who put him up on the cross.